Our topic for today's Sunday message is faces, voices, and places around the birth of Christ Jesus, part 3. Today, being 21st December 2025. We have considered part 1 and part 2. Just to make mention briefly, we have considered the faces of the people that surround the birth of Christ. Such faces include Augustus Caesar, Herod, priests and scribes, and the wise men. Mi ò tó fẹ́ gba time lórí gbogbo àwọn eléyìí. But àti quote Luke chapter 2 verse 1 to 20, Matthew chapter 2 verse 1 to 11, then verse 19 and 20, and so on. Bákan náà, we made mention of voices. In other words, a gbọ́ ohùn àwọn kan níbi ìbí Kristi, but a rójú wọn. Ara wọn ni bí áńgẹ́lì, ara wọn ni bí àwọn tí Bíbélì pè ní ogun ọ̀run. Ara wọn làwọn bí àwọn wòlíì tó ti kú, but tí wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ìbí Kristi. For example, Prophet Micah, in the book of Micah chapter 5 verse 2, talk of Bethlehem, pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti bí Kristi, and it came to pass. Gbogbo eléyìí la mẹ́nubà ní part 1 and part 2. So briefly, let us go to part 3. Now, in this part 3, again, we will look at Luke chapter 2 verse 1 to 20. You can read it on your own. Matthew chapter 2 verse 1 to 11. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 to 7. We will look at many other passages of the Bible, but to save time, lónìí mo fẹ́ kí I concentrate a little bit about the places that surround the birth of Christ. In Luke chapter 2 verse 4 and 39, the Bible made mention of Nazareth, Benny Joseph àti Mary ń gbé. In Luke chapter 2 verse 22, the Bible made mention of Jerusalem. Ibẹ̀ ni wọ́n gbé Jésù lọ nígbà tí wọ́n fẹ́ gbé wọnú church. The Bible made mention of Bethlehem, Luke 2:4. Ibẹ̀ gangan ni wọ́n bí Jésù sí. The Bible made mention of the wise men that came from the east. There is a place called the east. Matthew chapter 2 verse 1. Then in Luke chapter 2 verse 9, then 13 to 15, the Bible said the host of heaven and the angel came from heaven. So there's a place called heaven. In Matthew chapter 2 verse 13 to 15, then in Hosea 11:1, the Bible said that they carried Jesus to Egypt. Then in Matthew chapter 2 verse 18, the Bible talk of Ramah. In other words, all these 7 places, Nazareth, Jerusalem, Heaven, Ramah, Bethlehem, the East, and Egypt, all these places one play significant role in the birth of Christ. But at a time, láti máa mú wọn lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan. So the only one tí mo kàn fẹ́ ká mẹ́nu bà briefly lónìí, ó náà ní Matthew chapter 2 verse 13 to 15, níbi tí Mary and Joseph tí wọ́n ti gbé Jésù, they carry him to Egypt. Therefore, we are going to look briefly at the place of Egypt in the birth of Christ Jesus. Now, tá bá wo máàpù Africa, a rí wípé Egypt, Africa ló wà. Egypt, Africa ló wà. Why is it that nígbà tí Ọlọ́run fẹ́ gbé Jésù pamọ́, Ọlọ́run wá rí gbígbé pamọ́ sí ní Jerusalem, Ọlọ́run ò rí gbígbé pamọ́ sí ní Nazareth, Ọlọ́run ò rí gbígbé pamọ́ sí ní Bethlehem, Ọlọ́run ò rí gbígbé pamọ́ sí ní Ramah, and many other places. Wọ́n wá láti travel a very far place to Egypt. Before we can understand why did God do so, there will be need for us to first of all read Exodus chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10, chapter 11, and chapter 12. That's the book of Exodus, chapter 7 up to chapter 12. It will be very important for us also, Kaka Isaiah chapter 19, from verse 1 to the end. But most importantly, Isaiah chapter 19, verse 19 to 21. There will be need for us to read Acts chapter 2, verse 7 to 10. We are talking of Egypt as a place in the birth of Christ. What really happened is that Egypt in Africa, look prophetic, look symbolic, that God had Africa as a continent in mind and in his program as far as the birth of Jesus is concerned at Jesu Mowasaye. You see, even though Jesus happened to be an Israelite, àti pé gbogbo àwọn tó kọ Bible, gbogbo ẹ̀ la lóye from Genesis up to Malachi, then Matthew to Revelation. Gbogbo àwọn Paul, Bartholomew, àwọn tó kọ New Testament, Mose, Itomolowa, àti all the prophets came from almost the same area. Today, tabalolo ránṣẹ́ sí America, ó sì yanu l'America, kò ní ya ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn lẹ́nu, even unbeliever. But the reality is that Oluwani Africa náà lọ́kàn, even though we were wicked, idolatry lansi àti ṣe bí lọ́pọ̀ ní African country. Yet, Oluwani in his plan of salvation and program to deliver Ghana, to deliver Nigeria, to deliver Togo, to deliver Cote d'Ivoire, to deliver Morocco, Egypt, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and every country to the continent of Africa. But as representative and symbolic, only Egypt you do for, and that is why Mary àti Joseph the Egypt. Jésù tí wọ́n pọ̀n lẹ́yìn, nígbà wọ́n débẹ̀ wọ́n láti gbé kalẹ̀, ó jókòó, àtàwọn láti àwọn fẹsẹ̀ rẹ̀ lélẹ̀, ìgbà kan wọ́n ń wẹ̀, jọ́là bí ọmọ kékeré and all these things. All those things were symbolic. Today, mi ò ní pẹ́ parí tí mo ń sọ yìí. Nígbà tó lọ́ máa fún wa lórí ọ̀fẹ́, physically, you'll be able to talk better. But I would like to say, in the book of Isaiah chapter 19, verse 19 to 21, there was a prophetic deliverance released pertaining to the deliverance of the entire continent of Africa. I believe as we continue, God will help us to understand better and better.